Hello, and welcome to the second edition of Dungeoneer, where we're exploring game development through AI. In this second episode, we're going to focus on our code generation. We've made some updates to our process, and we want to show how we've been using it, both the good things that are happening from it, as well as some of the challenges that we're starting to experience by following this exact process. Right now, we've got the grid lines still kind of glitching in and out and the enemies flying through walls. We want to focus on fixing those and making sure that the game is crisp and fun. We also use our level generator to create multiple rooms at the same time, and we have 3 different enemy types that spawn in each of those rooms. Currently, all of the enemies from all of the rooms see us, and they try to attack us through the walls. They try to fly through the walls, and that's obviously something we want to clean up, that we need to have enemies that are only aware of us when we're in the room with them, and that only when we're close or interact with them are they actually trying to attack us. So those are things that we're going to be cleaning up. Overall, the main things that we've got are pretty fixable. We think a lot of them are pretty simple. Some of them are going to be a little bit more challenging. The advanced enemy behaviors are definitely going to take a bit more time, but we're going to get started and kind of show you where we're at and how we're working through those problems. In this first fix, the main enemy is both a rigid body and it is trigger on collision is turned on. And those kind of problems cause it to not be able to handle them in different ways that they're supposed to. The trigger is supposed to impact damage to the player. And right now we need to move that to a new child object, which we call damage collider. And this will allow it to have a clean separation between the damage inflicting part of the enemy when it flies into the player, as well as still have the rigid body impacts with physics that we still need to retain. After we made these changes, we can now see that the enemy does get stuck in a hole, and it's still trying to fire at us though, so we still need to fix where it's trying to chase and fire even though it can't really see us through that wall. These were relatively simple to fix. I mean, again, these were kind of standard things, easy to fix through the editor, nothing big, no code changes really required, just cosmetic cleanup in what we were doing. This next fix, again, we're going to focus on the grid line glitching. It was suggested by Copilot that we add a pixel perfect camera. So we did add that component to the main camera, and we also updated the game view to a full HD at 1920 by 1080. That also helped kind of clear up some of the resolution issues. And then I think this might have been the most important one, updating the pixels per unit to 32 to match our sprite resolutions. That way everything's more consistent. And finally, we also added the complementary pixel perfect component to our Cinemachine follower. And with all those changes, those eventually helped to make it a little bit cleaner. It was immediately better. Again, most likely the pixel perfect was probably the biggest help, as well as changing our pixels per unit from 100 to 32. We did have a little bit of challenge when we were updating the zoom. We realized that there's a combination that we have to do both for the reference resolution to match the game resolution, as well as getting the orthographic size of the camera to update. It would only snap at various increments, so it took us a bit of time to figure out where those increments were and get it just right. Next, we're going to kind of dive back into our code generation process. This is where we really need to spend more time focusing on what we're trying to do in the code. These fixes are going to revolve around creating more advanced enemy behaviors. So the first thing that we do is we actually build a project blueprint index, which gives us a baseline that we can reground both the agent as well as the architect on everything that we've created, how it works, what it looks like, all the header data that says we're using these libraries, we have these components, these methods, these variables that are declared. So it gives us a good grounding where we can start from. And so we have a place where we export that using Unity, then we import that into Copilot, and we talk with Copilot back and forth a little bit about it. We iterate on our change ideas, and then we finally arrive at our desired state of change that we want to make. And once we have that change ready to go, we use M365 to give us a change prompt for the agent. And it gives very explicit instructions. These things, it'll describe, new libraries we might want to use, new methods we want to create, new variables we're going to declare and use. So it really tries to give a very detailed blueprint at a high level of what things to do, but it doesn't give the detailed instructions of exactly how to implement everything. So we started doing this. We create the blueprint or create the prompt. We give it to the agent, let it execute it. And there's some good things that have been happening, to the point that we've gotten. It's worked really well. We've been able to create, all the level generation logic where it kind of carves out caves. Some caves are wide open. Some caves are very narrow. We've got settings and parameters that allow us to create multiple rooms and multiple room styles. And so that's been working well. And again, the enemies being able to see us and attack us and interact with us has also been really good. So it's been working pretty well, and we've had good success with it. But this one's going to be a little bit bigger and a little more challenging. We're going to go and try and drive very discrete enemy behavior types and the ways that they're going to interact with us on various states. And there are a lot of layers to that. We don't want the enemies to just start out attacking. We want the enemies to see us first and then come after us, or if they don't see us, not pursue us, or have various ways of patrolling, looking for us if we don't immediately view on the radar. So there's a lot of layers to that and a lot of things that we're going to work through with the architect and the agent to really get that packet together to do that work. But once the agent has completed doing all the work, what we typically do is we re-export the metadata and we put that back into the M365 architect. We like to go back and just kind of check the agent's work and make sure that the Copilot architect, as we call it, the M365 Copilot, reviews the whole metadata file, reviews the change log that the agent has produced, and just make sure that it did exactly what the architect wanted. And sometimes the agent would add in things that the architect thought was wrong or not implemented the way that it should have been done. So then we'd kind of have some more conversations and go do some more fixes. And this metadata blueprint that's kind of been our key package for doing all of our change activities has a lot of purposes. It kind of gives the game architecture in a single snapshot. It's great for knowing all the files, all the folders, all the metadata that's being used, all the methods, libraries. It really gives everything on just kind of a single file. It's good for regrounding any AI tool that we're working with. It also has kind of all of the core functionalities just kind of listed out in ways that we know if it's been connected to prefabs or other objects within the game. So it kind of gives that one place to go see everything and kind of re-engage in architectural discussions about the game. After we've been doing this process, again, the key points about it, we have a M365 Copilot architect. That's the one that's generating the explicit instructions, right? It's very detailed in what it expects we're going to go build. And then we have the GitHub Copilot agent that follows those explicit instructions. It goes out and creates all of the functionality in agentic mode in GitHub Copilot once we upload a very detailed prompt for it to go execute. Some of the other observations, it took a bit of back and forth to get the prompt process right. We like to have kind of a separation. It kind of becomes a second set of eyes. When we were relying on just one tool, we could kind of get into some feedback loops with the one tool. And so we tried to separate things out and get at least two different tools interacting on the same set of data. And we thought that would give a little bit clearer insight into where things might have some disagreement and say, no, maybe this process is better. And they would confer and work together. So I think that's been working well. The architect has been charged with defining the header section for each files, and then the agent is responsible for, building the files and then declaring all the usings and methods and variables that were ultimately created. And again, it was going pretty smooth, and it was, still needed a little bit of refinement, still needed a little bit of work, but, we've been successful to this point. But now we started getting into some areas where it really got challenging. We started building the behaviors and started testing, and we realized, well, okay, we're trying to fix the enemies to not be attacking when they can't see us. So it started creating things like raycast, and then it created a circle cast because it thought it was seeing through all the cracks between the tiles. And then it created a line of sight code and variables and logs for us to start looking at what it's seeing and what it's not seeing. And then it made a rotating circle cast because it thought the circle cast was hitting the wall too prematurely because the enemy was against the wall. And then it started addressing the tile seams in other ways. So we kind of went back to tiles as being a problem, and then multiple line of sight updates that we just kept doing, and then more and more and more and more. And honestly, we probably put in about 50 different changes over time, trying to fix all the different things that we wanted to see go away. And ultimately, what we really learned from all of this is we really started thinking about this a different way. I've been treating the agent as just a junior developer that needed explicit instructions, that it couldn't make good decisions on its own, or that we were trying to do more of a start at an architectural level, hand it off, expect specific results, and then come back and kind of judge the work, review the work, and change the work if it wasn't to expectations. And I think that over-prescription really opened the door for just not having a good intent as well as a good execution. I think it just kind of caused a little bit of chaos where we just kept going back and forth, trying to fix, problems that probably weren't even the real root underlying problem. And, we realized also that there were a lot of enhancements that we should do to the process as well as the visuals to help us understand what's going on. So what we're going to do is take a step back. We're going to try and take a little bit cleaner view in the next video of what we can do to change the process, to clean it up, and to also make it more reliant on the agent making good decisions as a senior developer. We think the purpose needs to look more like the architect is still a part of the process. It helps us define where we're heading and how we're going to get there. But instead of defining explicit change instructions, we're going to hand it off more of a, here's what you go do at a high level, and let the agent come back and tell us everything it created and everything it did. And we'll keep iterating on this process. Obviously, the main thing that we wanted to do is learn how to build a game, have fun doing it, explore the ways that we can do it with AI. There's so much change happening constantly. We're still trying to catch up to where the rest of the world is at current state with using these tools. But, rather than just trying to do everything as it lives now, we're just living with what we're kind of currently understanding about it and iterating our way through it and learning along the way. And a great line that my son told me while we were talking about it on the way to school, he said, Dad, sometimes when you got to get out of the hole, you got to put down the shovel. And we just kept digging our hole deeper and deeper with constantly iterating between the architect and the agent, trying to make changes, and ultimately realized we're just going to kind of scrap all of the behavior work we just did and kind of come at it from a different approach. So hopefully we'll figure out these things in our next video and share those learnings with you again. Talk to you next time.